Death Dames. All right, well, everyone, welcome back.
Hello.
Hello.
You might notice that there's a new voice. We decided after listening to our most recent episodes, our past two episodes, our most recent episodes, all two of them, but
All two of them.
all two of them, we decided to add a little bit of comic relief to break up some of the dry topics. Not that, I mean,
Kim and I are boring. Lila's better.
That's me.
so we have invited our friend Lila.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, everyone. She is kind of the comic relief, but going forward, she's going to be with us as well. We are all kind of remoting because we're all sick.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, so audio quality might be a little rocky on this one. Bear with us. We are intending on getting this spick and span, so it sounds great for everybody.
Yes.
But yeah. So, Lila, did you want to say hi? You want to?
So I'm Lila. Hello.
That was a great introduction.
Hi,
I know,
Lila.
I'm really personable. I know. So so I'm Lila, and I'm funnier than the both of them combined.
Disagree, but
But yeah, I'm so excited to join, and I'm so happy they let me.
we let you in this super secret club.
It's a very exclusive club.
We're very exclusive.
Also, everyone, welcome to Death Dames. This is a true crime / history / science / comedy podcast where we didn't want to pick one topic, so we picked them all.
That's right.
And you know what? Today's topic actually is going to be pretty heavy. So
I'm really excited.
Me too.
yeah, we've got some great episodes lined up. I'm very excited for the content we've got coming up. Before we get into the story, I figured we just do like kind of a little, I guess, icebreakers.
Sure.
What is something that made you happy today or this week?
So I work with children.
Oh,
Ugh.
children.
They're so cute and squishy. And one of them today told me I was Rapunzel. And it
Oh,
was really sweet. And then she hugged me.
Oh.
So that made me very happy.
I did get
She
some good
looked at me.
snuggins with my Jackson, my doggo, this week.
There you go.
okay. Pet stuff's always great.
Yeah.
And what about you, Kim?
I decided to really go down the nostalgia route today while at work, and I listened to a lot of music from the early 2000s.
Ooh, it's my
And-
favorite.
I've kind of come to realize that we as a society have not treated Britney Spears with the respect she deserves.
Not at all.
Oh.
She went through a lot of shit, and people were so mean to her.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, like, I definitely thought, okay, whatever, she's dumb blonde. But it's like, as an adult, I look on it now and I'm like, this poor child she was sexualized at 16, and what have we done to Britney?
I
So
know.
anyways, my thing that made me smile this week was Britney Spears.
It's Brittany, bitch.
Yeah, I didn't have a lot of things to smile about because I had pneumonia this week.
Hooray!
So,
Yay.
I think my voice is still mostly back, but this is going to be kind of a tire fire of an episode, but we're going to barrel through
We're
it.
going to push through. We're going to do it. It's going to be great.
I'm just going to try to edit out all of my coughing. Are y'all ready for a story?
I'm
Oh.
so ready for a story. Let's go.
I'm so ready. You don't even know.
Yes, I'm the most ready.
Okay. Whoa.
Uh-huh.
Now it's going to be a competition.
Go ahead, Kim. Hit us with some knowledge.
All right, I'll drop that dope knowledge
Right.
on y'all. So this story, it's a bit of a personal favorite of mine, and it's pretty well known. But I never knew the whole story, so I wanted to do a little more research onto it.
Okay.
I know, Allie, that you had mentioned that you wanted me to cover Jack the Ripper.
Obviously.
I was thinking about it, but honestly, that's going to have to be a big research project.
Yeah.
And it'll probably have to be split over several episodes. So it's kind of a big undertaking for me to do episode 3.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, yes.
But instead, I thought to appease your insatiable bloodlust,
Mm-hmm.
we would talk about the world's alleged most prolific female serial killer in history.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yes.
So today we're going to cover the story of the Countess of Blood, Elizabeth Bathory.
Ooh.
Before you guys all start leaving the episode, though, although this is a history podcast, we're not going to be going over a detailed account of politics of Hungary in the 1500s. So
Yes.
I'm not going to make it really dry or boring. I promise.
Just fun blood.
Yeah, I mean, we do have to do a little bit of background to set up her story and explain why she, ends up becoming such a prevalent villain in history.
What, it's like a problem to bathe in people's blood?
That's like not a cool thing. So, also as a disclaimer, this story did take place in the late 1500s. So the line between fact and fiction has become blurred at this point.
Yeah.
We'll undoubtedly never really know the truth for sure, but her fame has reached legendary heights, and she is considered to be the second most famous real-life vampire after...
Zach Bagans?
What?
No!
Not Zach Bagans.
Was that not what you were going for there?
Vlad the Impaler, guys. However, before Elizabeth Bathory was a sadomasochistic murderer.
Oh, good. My favorite kind.
She was just a little girl born in Hungary.
Oh, how sweet.
Also, too, I do want to point out for people that this story can get a little dark. It has sexual abuse. It does have torture. So just be advised if that's something. This is kind of like a little mini trigger warning, just to let you guys know if that's something that's going to make you uncomfortable. This might be kind of a rough episode. I know you guys are stuck here, so the two of you have to listen to it. Elizabeth Bathory was born on a family estate in Nyírbátor, Hungary, in either 1560 or 1561. And she spent her childhood at Echsed Castle. Her father was Baron George VI Bathory of the Echsed branch of the family, while her mother was Baroness Anna Bathory, daughter of Stefan Bathory of Somlio.
Oh.
Obviously.
By the way, that means both her mother and her father were Bathorys.
I was gonna
say incest.
Yeah, we get that a lot.
We're only
But, so her family tree gets a little confusing because Elizabeth's father, uncle, and brother were all named Stefan.
Of course they were.
Because, yeah, in the 1500s, 6 names.
Yeah.
Why make things easy and just name everybody the same name?
Through her mother's line, Elizabeth was the niece of the Hungarian noble Stefan Bathory, the king of Poland at the time.
Oh,
Of course.
very important.
Also, this is Stefan Bathory, the Grand Duke of Lithuania.
Oh.
And also, this is Stefan Bathory, the Prince of Transylvania.
Huh.
Can you imagine the amount of stress this guy must have to be the King of Poland, the Grand Duke of Lithuania, and also the Prince of Transylvania?
I'm surprised he
Obviously,
lived.
right?
I mean, probably not very long. But in fact, Elizabeth actually had a pretty stacked family tree. It was chock full of big-time heavy hitters in the areas of royalty. Not entirely surprising, though, Elizabeth's health would suffer with the consequences of all that inbreeding amongst the royal families.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and therefore, unfortunately, she did not have a particularly healthy childhood. She suffered from seizures that may have been caused by epilepsy. At the time, symptoms related to epilepsy were diagnosed as falling sickness, and treatments would include rubbing blood of a non-sufferer on the lips of an epileptic, or giving the epileptic a mix of non-sufferer's blood and a piece of skull as the episode subsided.
A piece of skull?
Non-sufferers? What are these people that are dead? What's happening?
Well, I mean, I think the piece of skull would come from a dead person, but it would be anyone who doesn't have epilepsy. So basically, yeah, it would be the blood of a healthy person, essentially.
Oh.
She would also suffer from mood swings and intense migraines.
Me too.
The same. This also leads to the speculation that Elizabeth's killings during her later life were part of her efforts to cure the illness she had been suffering from since she was a child, considering the fact that one of the beliefs was to rub blood of a non-sufferer, either on the lips or whatever.
Ah, yes.
I mean, there's no hard evidence supporting that speculation, which is something I'm going to say a lot in this episode. So not only did she suffer from a childhood riddled with pain, she also witnessed a great deal of messed up violence in her life.
I would imagine, living in Hungary, being part of royalty.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'll get into some of the fun stuff she saw. It was basically kind of as another attempt to explain her potential cruelty later in life. Many sources say that she was trained to be cruel by the evil in her family.
Oh, fun. We love that.
So stories also included a young Elizabeth witnessing brutal punishments executed by her family's officers. Considering public executions and torture was not a big deal in those days, it's pretty believable, what with death by burning being a common method of execution at the time.
Burn the witches!
Exactly.
Or just anyone on the street. I mean,
Yeah.
Burn that guy. Also, one story actually recants that Elizabeth witnessed a time when local authorities slit open the belly of a living horse, placed the criminal inside, and then stitched the horse's wound closed.
With the guy inside?
This would leave both the horse and the victim to struggle until both were dead.
Oh my god, that poor horse.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I kind of want to think about it, but then I also kind of don't want to think about it.
No, I don't.
She also was allegedly taught by family members involved with Satanism and witchcraft.
Burn the witches, I told you.
Right? See?
Again, though, there's no hard evidence for these claims, and considering she reigned during the peak of the witch mania in the early modern period, it stands to reason that these claims could have been unsubstantiated. So at the time, prosecutions for the crime of witchcraft reached a high point from 1580 to 1630 during the Counter-Reformation and the European Wars of Religion, when an estimated 50,000 persons were burned at the stake, of which roughly 80% were women, and most often over the age of 40.
Wow.
So these witch trials mostly took place in Germany, Scotland, Spain, and France, but considering the witch craze spread to Sweden and the United States in the later 1600s, it's not crazy to assume that the people of Hungary would accuse a woman in power of witchcraft after she had died. And yes, we will be covering witch trials in the future.
Yes!
I'm not sure if we're going to do the Salem witch trials because it's pretty heavily covered, but there's actually a lot of other ones that are not talked about nearly as much. She was also apparently taught the art of sadomasochism by her aunt, but again, we have no way of knowing this for certain. So Elizabeth was raised Protestant, and as a young woman, she learned Latin, German, Hungarian, and Greek. Being born into a privileged family of nobility, Elizabeth was also showered with wealth, education, and a stellar social position, all the makings of a good sociopath. She was also endowed with looks and was described as being an incredible beauty, which makes me hate her a little bit more. Of course, being a woman at the time, even a rich, beautiful woman, still kind of sucked. Elizabeth was engaged at age 10.
Ugh.
Oh, man.
To Ferenc Nadasdy in what was probably a political arrangement within the circles of the aristocracy.
His name was Ferenc.
I know. I thought it was, because it's spelled Ferenc. So I was like, Frank? Like, or even like kind of a Hungarian version of Frank.
Oh.
But then I looked up, I got all these translations in Polish pronunciation because it was as close as I can get to Hungarian. And it's, according to that, it was Ferenc.
Unfortunate.
I'm sure if I said it wrong, someone will let me know.
That's true.
However, before her first marriage could go through, at the age of 13, Elizabeth allegedly gave birth to a child.
Ooh. At 13?
Yeah. The child was said to have been fathered by a peasant boy, and it's rumored that her betrothed had the peasant boy castrated and then torn to pieces by dogs.
Oh.
Well.
Well, the thing is, too, I mean, the castration kind of seemed like a dick move, pun intended. Considering you just threw him to the dogs anyways. Like, why'd you have to cut, It is unclear whether the child was born from a consensual union or not, as there is suggestion that the peasant assaulted Bathory.
Maybe he deserved to get torn to pieces by dogs then.
So the child, a daughter, was supposedly given away to a local woman that was trusted by the Bathory family. The woman was paid for her act, and the child was taken to Wallachia.
Ooh.
Yes.
I want to be taken to a Wallachia.
Wallachia is actually the home of Vlad the Impaler. So evidence of this pregnancy came up long after Elizabeth's death, though.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, it was rumors spread by peasants. Therefore, the validity of this rumor is heavily disputed. It's not out of the realm of possibility, though, given the way that the world was.
True.
However, the marriage between Elizabeth and Ferenc was still on, and the couple married when she was 15 and he was 19.
Oh, okay.
No, he was only a couple years older than her. So
Okay.
he was, 14 when they got engaged?
All right.
All right.
That makes me feel a little bit better.
Also means he was 17 when he had that kid murdered.
Oh.
True.
So yeah, they were married at the palace of Vranov nad Stopla on May 8th, 1575. Approximately 4,500 guests were invited to witness the nuptials, which seems like a lot because we only had like 230th at our wedding, and that was a freaking nightmare. So I don't know how 4,500 would be.
Well, they probably didn't go around and say hello to every single person there.
There wasn't like a greeting line,
No.
a week-long greeting line.
Yes, of course.
So this is actually kind of cool. As Elizabeth's social standing was higher than that of her new husband, she refused to change her last name, and instead her husband assumed the surname Bathory.
Oh, that's cool.
Nadasti's wedding gift to Bathory was his household, Suktitsa Castle, which is situated in the Little Carpathians in present-day Slovakia. Additionally, she was gifted the Suktitsa and 17 adjacent villages.
17 adjacent villages? 17 villages?
You don't want 17 adjacent villages?
And I want 17 villages, but I don't want the adjacent ones.
That's a lot of work.
The castle was, and still is, surrounded by a village and agricultural lands, which sounds freaking beautiful and quaint. Kind of like it'd be a really dope setting for like a Ren fair. That's how I picture it in my head.
Yeah.
So there's also been reports that in an effort to please his new wife, Nadasti built a torture chamber to her specifications. But this is speculation and could be a rumor.
Well, I hope it's true.
Right?
That's the way to get to a woman's heart.
You know what, honey? The castle, real nice. The 17 adjacent villages, cool, whatever. I need a torture chamber to my specifications.
But not like any torture chamber. Here are the blueprints that I've had drawn up.
I've already gone to IKEA. It's all ready to go.
Yep.
Torture IKEA. I've already gone to IKILIA.
No.
No.
I'm going to keep that in. Guess what? I do the editing. My jokes can stay. Elizabeth moved to the Nadasti Castle in Hungary and spent much time on her own while her husband traveled, as he was an ambitious and important soldier at the time. In 1578, Nadasti became the chief commander of Hungarian troops, leading them to war against the Ottomans. With her husband away at war, Bathory managed business affairs and the estates. That role usually included responsibility for the local people, which even meant providing medical care. During the Long War, which was from 1593 to 1606, and really isn't that long.
No, that's not very long at all.
Well, when you think that they had to walk everywhere, it gets a little bit longer.
That's fair.
That's
fair.
true.
Bathory was charged with the defense of her husband's estates, which lay on the route to Vienna. She was an educated woman who could read and write in multiple languages, so she proved herself an excellent leader. There were also several instances where she intervened on behalf of destitute women, including a woman whose husband was captured by the Turks, and a woman whose daughter was raped and impregnated. This, given her alleged penchants for violence and torture, seems really out of place and does kind of make the theory that she was framed seem a bit more likely. I mean, it could also be a sort of a separation she had to do with cope with her violent urges.
I did all these shitty things, so now I'm going to do these couple good things, and they totally even out.
Yeah, but I mean, like, for example, like Ted Bundy, he was a volunteer at the suicide hotline and probably saved dozens of lives while also murdering on his own time.
That is true.
But regardless, I mean, her first legitimate daughter was born in 1585. She would end up having an additional 4 children. So Bathory was known to take lovers while her husband was away, so there is some speculation on the father of all her children.
Ooh.
But I mean, Nadasti seems to have claimed them all as his own.
That's nice.
However, eventually, after 29 years of marriage, Nadasti passed away on January 4th, 1604, at the age of 48. The exact nature of his illness is unknown. It seems to have started in 1601 and initially caused debilitating pain in his legs. From that time, he never fully recovered, and in 1603 he became permanently disabled. It is rumored that he may have participated in his wife's cruelties, but also that he may have restrained her impulses, as her tortures ramped up in frequency after his death. Before dying, Nadasti entrusted his heirs and widow to Gerrit Horzo, who would eventually lead the investigation into Elizabeth's crimes.
Oh, how interesting.
Ooh.
All right, guys.
Yes.
The brief history of wars is over.
Oh, good.
Thank
Just
goodness.
kidding.
Now is what we're all waiting for. So again, this part can get a little hairy, so I just want to warn everyone if you're squeamish. I mean, if you're hairy, you're probably not super squeamish, but between 1602 and 1604, rumors of Bathory's atrocities had spread throughout the kingdom. A formal investigation was launched in 1610, and testimony was collected from more than 300 witnesses to her crimes. According to the testimonies, Bathory's initial victims were serving girls aged 10 to 14 years and were the daughters of local peasants, many of whom were lured to the castle by offers of being well-paid maids and servants in the castle. Later, she's said to have begun killing daughters daughters of the lesser gentry who were sent to her home by their parents to learn courtly etiquette. Abductions were also said to have occurred. The atrocities more consistently described included severe beatings and burning or mutilation of the hands. The use of needles was also mentioned, and they claimed that she would jam pins and needles under the fingernails of her servant girls.
It gives a whole new meaning to pins and needles.
According to the Budapest City Archives, the flesh would also be burned with hot tongs and then placed in freezing cold water, shocking their systems. They would also sometimes be covered in honey and live ants, which would bite at the flesh. Elizabeth is also suspected of cannibalism, and rumors claimed that she made one girl cook and eat her own flesh.
Wow. I feel like Jeffrey Dahmer and her would have been best friends.
Right?
They could swap recipes. It is also said that she would stab her victims or bite their breasts, hands, faces, and arms, cutting them with scissors, sticking needles into their lips, or burning them with red-hot irons, coins, or keys.
Well, she really didn't stick to just one thing. She really just went through the whole gamut of pain and torture.
So some girls were just simply starved to death. There is speculation that her favorite items to use were a pair of scissors, and that she would cut off fingers, toes, and the genitals.
With scissors?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Her favorite place to cut, and this is bad, was the webbing between the pointer finger and the thumb.
I was just gonna say.
I don't like that.
I was gonna say the webbing between the toes or the fingers. It has to be that.
No, stop. I don't like it.
Oh, that's so intense. Okay.
Just a quick little history. I was curious because when I first read scissors, I immediately thought of modern ones and I was kind of confused. But apparently the earliest known scissors appeared in Mesopotamia 3,000 to 4,000 years ago.
Wow.
These were of the spring scissor type, and it comprised of two bronze blades connected at the handles by a thin, flexible strip of curved bronze, which would hold the blades in alignment to allow them to squeeze together. So if you just want to picture how scary that would have been coming at you.
I don't wanna.
Just look up ancient scissors. This is kind of an interesting fact. Modern historians suggest that she was bisexual, which is why she placed her attention on young women. This, to me, though, it feels like a misunderstanding of consensual sexual masochism and sadism.
Yes.
I mean, she was a sadist. She wanted to hurt.
Unless it comes up in a little bit of your research, I don't think she was doing this for really sexual pleasure.
No, I think she was just.
She was doing this just to inflict
lunatic.
pain and torture on people.
Yes.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, I doubt there was anything sexual about the acts in the same way that most sexual assaults not based on sex, but, power or causing pain.
Yes.
Cutting the webbing between fingers doesn't exactly scream sexual to me.
Yeah.
So in terms of whether she was bisexual or not, I feel like that's just historians kind of going for a taboo, shocking topic. That seems a little unlikely. Some witnesses of her crimes named relatives who died while at the castle. Others reported having seen traces of torture on dead bodies, some of which were buried in graveyards and others in unmarked graves. Two witnesses claimed that they actually saw the Countess torture and kill young servant girls. In addition to the defendants, several people were named for supplying Bathory with young women, procured either by deception or by force. Torture and bloody orgies were supposedly carried out to accompany family celebrations, including her daughter's wedding and holidays.
What?
Merry Christmas, blood orgy.
Can you imagine being one of her kids and all this is going on? Mom, it's Christmas. Can we just once open our presents and not have to dodge dead girl? Can we just have ham instead of an orgy?
Why is there so much blood and orgy happening?
The final straw was when Gerrit Horzo, who long suspected her tyranny, went to the castle after Christmas in 1610 and claims to have caught Bathory in the act.
Ooh.
He arrested Bathory and 4 of her accomplices and reportedly found one girl dead and one dying from her wounds. They also stated that another woman was found wounded while others were locked up. At this point, the Countess was put under house arrest. There is, however, again, little evidence to support that Bathory was caught in the act of torture. It seems more likely, though, that the whole idea of Thwarzo discovering Bathory covered in blood has been the embellishment of fictionalized accounts. Thwarzo debated proceedings with Elizabeth's son Paul and 2 of her sons-in-law, because God forbid any of the women have any say on what should happen to their mother, but whatever. A trial and execution would have caused a public scandal and disgraced a noble and influential family, and Elizabeth's considerable property would then have been seized by the crown. They originally planned to send her to a nunnery, but once word got out that she had killed daughters of lesser nobility, it was agreed that Elizabeth should be kept under strict house arrest and that further punishment should be avoided.
Interesting.
So the king at the time, King Matthias, he urged Thwarzo to bring Bathory to trial. So he was actually pushing for her to go to trial. But Thwarzo successfully convinced the king that such an act would adversely affect the nobility, and instead that the king would not have to pay the massive debts he owed to the Bathory house, essentially buying Bathory her life.
Oh, ulterior motives. Wow.
Which, by the way, the fact that the king owed Bathory debts, this bitch had power.
Especially in those days.
So 2 trials were held, where dozens of witnesses and survivors came to testify. All but 1 of the Countess's servants testified against her. In addition to the testimony, the court also examined the skeletons and cadaver parts found as evidence. So the exact number of Bathory's victims is unknown, and even contemporary estimates differ greatly. During the trial, some servants reported 36 to 37 victims, while some believed it was more like 50 or higher. Many of the personnel of the castle estimate the number of bodies removed from the castle to be 100 to 200 victims.
Wow.
So did she directly do all the killing?
That's what it seems like, yes.
Okay. Or did she have people
like accomplices?
Yeah, because they said they arrested accomplices. Did they take part in the killing, or did they just bring them the people?
I think it was more they brought people in.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they brought her the raw materials, so to speak. So a servant who spoke at the trial as a witness was said to have provided a list of more than 650 victims' names, allegedly in Bathory's own handwriting.
What?
But I mean, the number 650 could not be proven even at the time. So the official count remained at 80. So really, I mean, the 650 is just going by that one person who said that they had a list in Bathory's handwriting.
I mean, 80 is still pretty high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's still something to, be upset about.
So after her trials, Bathory was imprisoned in Suktitsa Castle in solitary confinement. She was kept bricked in a set of rooms with only small slits left open for ventilation and the passing of food. She remained there for 4 years until her death.
Wow!
Yeah. So on the evening of August 21st, 1614, Bathory complains to her bodyguard that her hands were cold, whereupon he replied, "It's nothing, mistress. Go lie down." She then passed away in her sleep and was found dead the following morning. She was buried in the church on the castle grounds on November 25th, 1614, but according to some sources, due to the villagers' uproar over having the Blood Countess buried in their cemetery, her body was moved to her birth home at Etchsed, where it was interred at the Bathory family crypt. However, the exact location of her body is unknown.
Because she's a vampire and she's still alive.
That's true.
It's possible. So, due to the wild speculation around her story, several authors have argued that Bathory was potentially a victim of conspiracy, stating that the proceedings against her were largely politically motivated, possibly due to her extensive wealth and ownership of large areas of land, escalating after the death of her husband.
It's all because of those 17 adjacent villages.
It was.
So this honestly does kind of fit with the political and religious politics of the area at the time.
It does.
And I mean, also, how about the opinion of women as heads of household?
Well, I was going to say, I mean, that's probably the biggest part of it, is people were upset that a woman had so much power just because she was part of a family.
Right. We even when she was married at 15, her name had more weight than her husband's name.
Oh, that probably killed people.
So there are counter arguments as well, as the number of witnesses does seem to be kind of big for it to be a cover-up. So, and also the evidence of the numerous bodies of dead and dying girls would be hard to deny as well, but some actually claim that the physical evidence was exaggerated and that Thwarzo, at the time of his investigation, misrepresented dead and wounded patients of the war as victims of Bathory. I mean, since disgracing her would greatly benefit his political state and ambitions.
Right.
Of course, I mean, after her death, her story grew to become more complex and weirder, especially during the 18th and 19th centuries. The most common motif of these as well was that the Countess would bathe in her victim's blood to regain beauty of youth. This actually didn't appear in the record until 1729, when it was written in the book Tragica Historia, written by Laszlo Torowski.
Really?
Yeah, it's actually the first written account of the Bathory case, and that's where the blood bathing came from.
So could that not have happened?
It probably didn't. I mean, he
that's
probably made it up.
crazy.
That's my favorite fact about her.
Yep, and it's not a real fact.
Not a real thing.
Damn it.
So the story came into question on 1817 when the witness accounts from the original trial were published for the first time, and they included no reference to bloodbaths. In terms of Bathory's decision to enact these crimes, it was easy for male writers of the 17th and 1800s to buy into the bathing in blood theory, relying on the idea that women are all vapid and shallow. However, sadistic pleasure is considered a far more plausible motive to Bathory's crimes than vanity.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Regardless, though, this idea of the blood has stuck around, and also potentially due to her relation to Transylvania and vampire lore, which has only increased in the past 100 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to delve too much into vampire lore post-Bathory, though, because I want to save it for a vampire episode in the future. So let us know if that's something you guys want, because I'm going to do it anyways. All right, so that is the story of Elizabeth Bathory. Do you guys have any thoughts?
I actually already knew a bunch of it because, like I said, Elizabeth Bathory is probably one of my favorites. Yet a lot of the older history of her as a child, I had no idea. So
Yeah.
that's very interesting.
Yeah.
I only really knew like bare bones, bathing in blood, more or less.
So I actually did the research for this one as well because I thought it would be a little obvious. The research topic is the uses of blood in modern cosmetics.
Oh.
So I decided to do the research myself because I didn't want to totally give it away. But the research topic is probably pretty obviously connected to the story. But I thought, considering we're still seeing this prevailing idea that blood can cure/rejuvenate, I'm looking at you, Kim Kardashian.
Right?
We can clear the air once and for all on the science behind human blood being used as a cosmetic commodity. In terms of bathing in blood, we can pretty quickly nip that in the bud right away. Use of blood as a topical treatment does not show any sign of improvement in skin health or make you younger at all. So how about we talk about the somewhat well-known vampire facial, which uses your own blood injected into your face.
And then what's there's another part to it. It's your white blood cells being just rubbed all over your skin as it's being pricked open with needles.
I'm gonna talk about that.
It's fun.
Mm-hmm. To stimulate collagen production, tighten loose skin, and add volume back to the face, there are a myriad of surgery-free options to choose from, including dermal fillers, thread lifts, lasers, and platelet-rich plasma therapy known as PRP. This information is actually being pulled from a website called newbeauty.com, which specifically sells the vampire facial.
Great.
They don't have an agenda at all.
Nope,
No.
not at all. Also, I don't want to add any volume to my face. I want to remove volume from my face. Is that a problem that people have?
Yeah, I want the tuberculosis treatment where I get really pale and gaunt.
Yeah.
That's the look we all want.
Similar to PRP, a new technique that they've recently come out with is the PRF, which uses platelet-rich fibrin, which can treat common areas that show the first signs of aging, like under-eye hollows and deflated cheeks. While the use of PRP and PRF is growing popularity as a viable option for cosmetic treatment, it has not yet been approved by the FDA, which is completely shocking.
Right.
However, as the demand grows for more organic rejuvenation treatments, more and more patients are turning to therapies that harness the growing factors in our own blood for cosmetic enhancement. So again, this is all stuff coming from their website, which means it's bullshit.
Yeah.
So there's actually a facial plastic surgeon in Los Angeles known as Kian Karimia, and they state that platelet therapy is quickly becoming an integral aspect of cosmetic treatments. PRP has been used topically or as an injection to stimulate collagen production and enhance the efficiency of procedures such as fat transfer, hair loss, lasers, and microneedling. Microneedling, I think, is what you were talking about, Lila, where they...
Yes. It's just rejuvenating my face and getting rid of my scars and
Yeah,
acne.
it's just, you're just smushing blood on your face, idiot.
Yeah, you're just putting blood back into your own blood. I mean...
Right, there's like already blood there. Why do you...
So harvested PRP, it consists of platelets, fibrin, and white blood cells, which contribute to wound healing, collagen production, and improved elasticity. PRF itself becomes a gel after 15 to 20 minutes of being isolated. I like how they call it a gel and not coagulation because it's just blood coagulating.
Yeah.
So after it's become a gel, it's immediately injected into the face or body. So basically how a typical session would go. So prior to the actual day of treatment, 1 vial of your blood is drawn to fill a 133 milliliter tube, which is a little less than a tablespoon. Next, the blood is then placed inside a specialized centrifuge designed to separate the PRF from the sample. PRF is most often used in context with hyaluronic acid to enhance facial volume and improve the quality of the surrounding skin.
So wait, what are they adding to it? They're adding something that actually does something?
Hyaluronic acid, yeah, and dermal fillers, which is, hyaluronic acid is used a lot in skincare products. I know because I'm allergic to it, so I have to look out for it when I buy skincare products.
So they're adding something that does something to something that doesn't do something.
Right.
And then they're like, hey, look, it works.
So the actual procedure, it's performed in a series of treatments spaced 6 to 8 weeks apart. Results typically last 1 to 3 weeks, and the volume will essentially dissipate in the blood. The claim is, though, that it's supposed to help long-term. So they claim that long-term effects, such as skin tightening, collagen production, and enhanced skin quality, may take 3 to 4 months before you can notice, and will last from 6 to 12 months.
So we're looking for long results.
Right, but...
Okay.
Ultimately, doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's all just a ploy to get your money.
Oh yeah, just like any of these crazes. So yeah, that's the vampire facial. And also, there is a spell you can cast in World of Warcraft called Cosmetic Blood Horror.
Oh my god.
So I learned that when I was doing searches too.
I love that.
So that's the research section.
Hooray!
Hooray! So ultimately what we've learned here is don't stick needles into your face, don't put your own blood in your face, don't rub blood on your face, don't take a bath in blood.
Keep your blood in your body and everyone else's. Don't share blood.
All right, so now that the research section is done, I kind of just open this up for discussion before we move on to bitch banter. So do you guys have anything you want to say about the story or about the research that I provided?
I don't want to say disappointed, but I'm disappointed that it's not real. That she didn't actually bathe in blood.
I know. It's one of those things that's such a part of her mythology. The fact that it's wrong. Well, it's almost like how my mind was blown when last week you informed me that Walt Disney is not actually frozen.
Oh, yeah.
Also, I don't know if you guys watched Shane Dawson, but he did talk about how Disney released the movie Frozen to cover up the fact that Walt Disney was frozen.
I love
Wait, what?
So, because they didn't want the search results, if you searched Walt Disney Frozen before 14, it would come up with stuff about Walt Disney being frozen.
Oh, yep, that makes sense.
So, in order to stop that and to make it impossible to find that information online,
they made the movie Frozen.
So, if you search Walt Disney Frozen,
you get that. And now you're going to get even more because there's another one.
Exactly. All right. Well, so why don't we move on to bitch banter and we will conclude.
Let's bitch it up.
So moving forward, Lyle is actually going to be the one who's going to read the bitch banter to us.
I am.
Today she's gonna just kind of get to sit back and chill. But yeah, moving forward, Lila will be the one providing the bitch banter content for us.
Woo-hoo.
Today, I found a disturbingly related weird news article.
Ooh.
On January 21st of 2019, the website IFL Science, which is I fucking love science. By the way, we follow them on Instagram.
Good.
And they are awesome, so definitely check them out on Instagram.
Oh, I love them.
So they posted an article stating that you can buy the blood of young adults in 6 United States cities.
What?
That's right. For just the low price of $8,000, you can get your very own liter of young blood.
Oh my god. Why don't I have $8,000 laying around? I
do.
A liter of young blood.
We have young blood. Well,
guys, I will get the liter.
I don't.
Well, I'll get the liter and we'll just share it.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we? Wait, why aren't we selling our blood for that
Damn
much?
it, guys. I always said we should sell our own blood.
We're not young anymore, Lila.
Shut up. You're
Do
older
I still
than
count?
I don't know. It doesn't say the age range.
Young is probably like
18 to 20.
Yeah.
It's probably like Hollister young people blood. Our blood's not even cool enough. So, a US-based company called Ambrosia, we're going to gloss over the obvious wannabe godlike connotations, considering ambrosia was food for the gods in ancient mythology.
And now it's weird jello.
So, they offer plasma therapy, which plans to provide a transfusion of blood from young donors to older individuals to keep them healthy, which, might I add, is not how that works.
Oh
Nope.
my god! That just
Not at
sounds
all.
like lots of diseases.
So this company was funded by controversial billionaire Peter Thiel and is operating currently in 6 U.S. cities: Phoenix, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Tampa, Omaha, and Houston.
What? That is really crazy. I mean, I'm actually not surprised about any of the places in California.
No. And even like Tampa.
I was gonna say Florida, yeah.
As IFL Science points out excellently, quote, "This enterprise is literally baby boomers and Gen X people harvesting the blood of millennials for alleged health benefits," unquote.
God, that
Yep.
sounds like an evil cult.
Well, even worse, the donors apparently don't know that their blood is going to this.
So these are like people that are just donating blood?
Correct.
Oh.
So yeah, this brings up a whole host of ethical issues.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Now, the quote-unquote scientific backing for this was based off of a 2013 study done on mice, only that showed pretty much nothing positive other than marginal improvement in heart conditions. Also, it was done in a setup known as parabiosis, where a young mouse is literally grafted onto an old mouse, and they share a circulatory system for 4 weeks.
Oh my god!
Yeah. I'm literally afraid to leave my house now. Is somebody gonna try to graft me to an old person for 4 to 6 weeks? Mice and humans, they always use mice first, but they're not the same thing. You can cure insane spinal injuries on mice just fine. Can't do it in humans.
Oh.
It's not the same.
And I mean, regardless, it did nothing to reverse age-related diseases in the mice. So
Right.
it literally, it doesn't even do what you're claiming it does on mice, let alone people.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
And that would be if you grafted a millennial to an old person.
Well, that's what
Can
I'm
you
saying.
imagine? Can you imagine?
Just 70-year-old people walking around with 15-year-olds attached to their hip or something.
Can you just imagine the arguments?
I would just stop eating.
One would be pulling them to Abercrombie and Fitch, and the other side would be pulling them to Christmas tree shop. So this is interesting.
Yes.
Ambrosia claims that they have had excellent results in a clinical trial they ran, but surprisingly decided not to publish the results of the trial, which is in no way super shady.
Oh, how strange. Yeah, let's not post any of our findings, but everything's fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to see the peer-reviewed journal article.
Right?
So clearly this bull crap idea of young blood being the holy grail continues to this day, which is great. Thanks, Ambrosia.
Oh,
Oh
God.
my gosh.
So
Wow.
to tie that all together, it was believed that blood made you young then, and disturbingly, it's happening in 2019.
500 years ago and still happening now.
Yep.
And still wrong.
Oh my god.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm going to go sell my blood.
Yep.
We're all selling our blood.
Do they accept youngish blood?
Hashtag youngish.
I'll be the Walmart level of blood.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, maybe consider giving us a follow on Twitter. We are at DeathDamesPod, and also on Instagram at DeathDamesPodcast, where we will post pictures from the stories we covered on today's episode. You can also follow our personal accounts too, if you want to see tons of pictures of our various pets. Also, hey, if you want to share your science, history, or true crime stories with us, please email us at deathdamespodcast@gmail.com, and we may end up sharing them on our fan story episode. We really want to do a fan story episode coming up soon. So seriously, if you have any cool stories, history, science, true crime, we love having discussions on the topics we've covered and other things too, so please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And if you like this and want to hear more, please consider subscriing or following, leave a comment, rate and review, and share with anyone you think would like our weird podcast. Remember,
Remember,
smart
smart
is
is sexy.
bye.